Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Run in the Paint recap. Today is Wednesday, April 22nd. I'm Miles here with Ben and Joey. Guys, what a day of playoff basketball. How are you guys doing after all this?
Uh, Feeling fantastic after all the games we just witnessed today, but specifically the one that we just watched in the Lakers and Rockets game.
Yeah, Ben, how are you feeling after all the crazy, unexpected results from Tuesday night?
I'm feeling shocked because I was surprised by this is going to be the outcomes out of all these three games tonight, but I guess it makes for an exciting recap.
Yes, it does. Excited to get into all this craziness. Before we do, as always, make sure to check the description down below if you want to skip ahead to any of these specific games that you want to hear us talk about and some of the storylines that go into it. We had our first real major injury of the playoffs that we're going to talk about later with the unfortunate occurrence from Victor Wembanyama today. But before we get to that, let's talk about that first game that you talked about, that you were saying, Joey. The Lakers Rockets game two. Of course, game one on Saturday, the Lakers got the victory. No Luka Doncic, no Austin Reeves. There was no Kevin Durant for the Rockets, but the Lakers came out, played very well. The Rockets half court offense struggled mightily in that game. We talked about a lot on the podcast. But here in game two, Kevin Durant returns to the lineup after missing the game with the right knee sprain. And did anything change? No. The Lakers got the victory again to go up 2-0 in this series, winning 101-94. Once again, getting incredible performances from LeBron James, Marcus Smart, and Luke Kennard for the second straight game, while the Rockets continue to struggle offensively. Ben, this was a game going into it that the Rockets needed to have here. Really, both of the games in LA with no Luka and Reeves for the Lakers. It just, I mean, I'm just kind of speechless at what just happened, Ben. What were your thoughts on how this happened?
Yeah, shocked too. And just, boy, this was like an old school type of game. It was a defensive game, but I still just can't believe like how bad the Rockets are on offense at times. It's like, man, I thought Durant was gonna be, the difference maker to possibly give them a win tonight, but was wrong on that. Like 9 turnovers. Boy, that's a lot. That's rough. I'm surprised that happened with Kevin Durant, and then Sengun. Oh man, yeah, he somehow got it to 20 points, but early on in the game, it was rough for him. He just was struggling near the rim. There's some lack of aggressiveness from him at times in the game, and it's just no one can really shoot that good for the Rockets. I mean, priority, I think, no matter how the season ends for Houston, is they got to find better shooting of some sort in the offseason because, oh boy, it was a rough watch with their shooting today.
Yeah, Joey, let's talk about Kevin Durant because we have to. One of the greatest players of all time, one of the greatest scorers that we've ever seen, with our own two eyes play. Phenomenal player. But in this game, in this scenario where the Rockets, it's a must win game for them, and he returns again, like Ben said, he's supposed to be the major difference in the game here. And as much, and we all thought so. We all picked the Rockets to win this game just because he was back in the lineup. If he was out again, I was going to for sure pick the Lakers. But with Durant back, you favor the Rockets. But he has 9 turnovers, like Ben says, struggling when he's getting blitzed by the Lakers defense and just not being aggressive looking for his shot. He only scored, I think, like 2 points, 2 or 3 points in the entire second half.
Yeah, he only shot like 2 times. He only had like 2 attempts in that entire second half. He was doing pretty well in that first half, and it was keeping them in it even while the Lakers were playing really, really well. But unfortunately, like you said, when he's getting blitzed by Marcus Smart, 30-something-year-old Marcus Smart is locking down Kevin Durant, and he can't get away from him, that's a major problem. Like, you were absolutely right on the money. This offense before was awful. We knew that. But we all thought, oh, Kevin Durant's coming in here. He's going to at least drop 25, shoot pretty well, get people open. No, they only needed one man to guard Kevin Durant. And that was it. Like, everybody else was fine. Like, it was, their offense was chaotic. There was no, like, cohesion at all. It looked just like a free-for-all. It was bad. And like you said, they got no shooters when it comes to that. Because at the end of the clock, they're just like, sometimes they get wide open shots or they just chuck it up at the end of the shot clock. That's all they can do.
Yeah, to me, the best way that I can summarize the Rockets' offense in this game particularly is I thought that every time they had the basketball, it was a turnover waiting to happen. Like, that's honestly how I felt watching them play. Whether it's actually turning the ball over or, they had 17 offensive rebounds in this game. They are the best rebounding team in the league, especially on the offensive glass. But Ben, so much of that is them missing point blank shots in the paint and getting their own rebound and resetting again for a similar shot that isn't going in.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, man, you rebound so well, but like, how can you not find like some other open, better looks off of those? Like, they just don't. It's not great. And yeah, he made Udoka like he's good at coaching at defensive physicality, but it just seems like his weakness is coaching up like good offense with this Rockets team because whatever the coaching staff must be saying, part of it it's got to be that, and I think that part isn't totally working either. I just get confused on like what in the world are the Rockets' process here on offense to have like really any success.
Yeah, and you didn't really see many adjustments from them offensively either. Like, something that I've pointed out a lot this season with Kevin Durant, because this is probably the worst game he's had as far as turning the ball over when it's mattered the most, but he's had several of these games throughout the regular season in the clutch. And something I've brought up before is like, why don't they try to put him in the post a little bit more so that he doesn't have to handle the ball on the perimeter much? And maybe that's because you say, the Rockets don't have the point guard play to where you feel confident throwing like entry passes or stuff like that. But that's just a big problem with this team. And you see in this game that Ime Udoka doesn't trust his actual point guards on the team. Reed Shepherd, 10.5 minutes, he couldn't hit a shot. Same with Aaron Holiday in 7 minutes. So they played bigger for most of the game, but they didn't have a true point guard on the floor at all times here for the Rockets. I think obviously the Rockets deserve being critiqued in this game because this is an inexcusable loss and I think an unacceptable performance by Kevin Durant, who was brought to this team to fix their problems in situations like this. And the same things are happening, but I've got to give a whole lot of credit to the Los Angeles Lakers for their game plan discipline on the defensive end, and just for, those guys that are on the floor for just playing amazingly well. Like LeBron at age 41, unquestionably has looked like the best player in this series. He's looked unbelievable. And then Marcus Smart and Luke Kennard are awesome too. Like, it's absolutely crazy what they're getting to do and what they're getting out of those players.
It's absolutely insane. Like, out of LeBron, we kind of expect consistency, but not at like this kind of level. And then it's like, oh, Marcus Smart and Luke Kennard. Yeah, they had a really good game one, but we don't think they're going to be able to get that every game. Well, we're 2 for 2 from this trio. Like, they're just fantastic. Look at the steals. 8 steals between Smart and Kennard in that backcourt. LeBron is dishing out everything. It's just the physicality, like you said, it's incredible. They're right up. Like you said, we're talking about Kevin Durant doesn't know how to handle it, but their entire team. They don't know how to get to the paint. The Rockets aren't aggressive, and the Lakers are imposing their will on them. It is, like you said, horrible for Rockets fans. Our good friend Jackson Goglin is probably throwing up after watching that game. But for all our Lakers fans, if we have any, because I badmouth them pretty bad,
Better.
but they're playing fantastic. This is what you need. You only needed to steal really one game at home, realistically, and then it's like, okay, now we have a chance to maybe get our star back. But like you mentioned in the lobby, in the pre-pod lobby, like who needs them right now? If you're up 2-0 after home, give them the extra rest. Make them just come, even if they can come back by 5, make it to 6. Why not?
Yeah, the Lakers have just put themselves in such a great position here. And, again, the Marcus Smart first half he had, the first quarter making all the threes, but then the defense, like 5 steals, like a lot of them, he was just taking the ball from Kevin Durant on the perimeter, guarding him on the blitz. And Luke Kennard, amazing, whether it's as, his three-point shooting, of course, the most efficient three-point shooter in the NBA, but also driving it to the rim for layups and pulling up for mid-range shots as well. I mean, those guys have absolutely exceeded expectations, and the Rockets guys have not even met theirs, which was the big thing in this series. Like, I kept making the point that if the Rockets players just play to their capabilities, then this should be a quick series on their behalf, because when they're playing to their capabilities, they are the ones that are turning other teams over, scoring on, the fast break. Kevin Durant is on fire. Amen Thompson and Alperen Şengün are having big games. And then guys like Jabari Smith and Tari Eason are having positive impacts on the game. But instead, none of those guys you really feel like are having much of a positive impact on the game. While the Lakers, this is the best basketball we've seen Luke Kennard ever play. This is Marcus Smart. I mean, he obviously was amazing with the Celtics, but he's playing amazing up to that capability with Boston. And then LeBron, once again setting the table and throwing down dunks like it's 2009. Like, it's crazy. The one reverse hammer on the fast break, the backdoor one to close the game. Like, it's absolutely unbelievable. Rui Hachimura with a big game. Jackson Hayes, I thought, was great off the bench as the backup big. Like, the Lakers, it seems like they can't do anything wrong right now. And you just have to give them a whole lot of credit for looking like the more tougher team, the smarter team, the more prepared team, and because of that, looking like the better team through 2 games, even though the Lakers are missing their 2 leading scorers.
I want to see any other 41-year-old try to attempt that dunk, even in their backyard or whatever. Have it at an 8-foot hoop. I still bet you don't do it.
Yeah, so now the big thing to watch going forward, like you said, Joey, is what is the status of Luka and Austin Reeves? I know Laker fans and most people are thinking like, man, Lakers are going to be down 0-2 or it's going to be split 1-1 going to Houston. They need those guys back for this first round series. And now you're thinking like, man, up 2-0 here, they, most likely they should be able to make their way to the second round. We'll see if they can take care of business against the Rockets or if Houston can show a little bit of fight, at home. I think most reports have been, that I've been hearing, I've been saying that Austin Reeves is the one that's more on the way to coming back than Luka Doncic. What do you guys think about, if they should come back or not in this first round? Joe, you said, if you can take care of business in this first round, then why bring them back? But Ben, do you think otherwise, maybe to try to get those guys a bit of rhythm, if they are available before, in theory, a second round date with the Oklahoma City Thunder?
Well, I think rhythm could be helpful, but look, you're up 2-0, so I'm playing well. What you got against the Rockets, and it's working. Like, still, I want to rush it, make sure Reeves, who could maybe have a chance to return to this series, is totally healthy and ready to go. But I think, like, possibly later in the series, say if Houston could win some games and make it closer in the series. I think then, like, if Austin Reeves is healthy enough and ready to go, you got to play him, see if that's like enough of an offensive spark to get you past that series at least and get him some rhythm, before the second round, most likely against, OKC. And yeah, it's unfortunate Luka sounding like won't be able to play in this first round, but it's looking like Luka could be a lucky guy as long as the Lakers win two more, win the series, because it is sounding like, if the Lakers moved to round two, he could maybe come back for that, and they would definitely need him to go and against the Thunder, shade probably.
Yeah. So, but either way, again, series that always not over yet. Still two more wins that the Lakers have to get in this series. But man, looking so impressive through two games. Cannot believe that they're up 2-0 in this series after beating the Rockets in Game 2. Looking back at our first round series predictions that we had, Nick, one of the only ones in the world that was going with the Lakers to win this series, and he might be looking like a smart man here, him going with the Lakers in 7. Unfortunately, Ben and Joey's are already off the table here with the unfortunate play of the Rockets. I'm still alive if the Rockets can have the, go on the mini sweep in the middle of this series, but Lakers.
Do you think that's going to happen? Do you think your prediction is actually going to happen now? Or do you think it's for sure going to go 7, if anything?
I mean, it's hard to have much hope right now for the Rockets. Like, their best player comes back and he has a brutal game. I think it's all going to come down to if the Rockets coaching staff, Ime Udoka and his staff, who, they are a very good coaching staff, if they can make adjustments, heading back to Houston to try to go attack those double teams that the Lakers are throwing out, and hope that Luke Kennard and Marcus Smart come back down to earth a little bit, because they should not continue to play like this. And again, the Rockets guys, like, they just need their star players and their talented players to actually play like it. Like, they need to actually play to their standards, and then they should, have a chance, to come back in this series. But Lakers, impressive first two games. Let's move over to the other Western Conference game that we had here with the Blazers and the Spurs, and Portland got the victory 106-103 in a marvelous fourth quarter comeback after trailing by 14 points in the period to even up the series at 1 game apiece. Big win for the Trailblazers, but of course we have to start off with the start of the second quarter, where Victor Wembanyama of the Spurs, who got awarded his Defensive Player of the Year trophy before the game in that incredible Spurs atmosphere, goes down with a concussion early in the second quarter, falls down, hits his chin on the court after Drew Holiday did a veteran move, pulled the chair, but Wemby goes down, is out for the rest of the game, and it comes out that he has to undergo the concussion protocol here. Just, Ben, just a tough blow for the Spurs, of course, losing their MVP candidate, their Defensive Player of the Year, and, one of the most fun players to watch in the league here early in this game. And, it definitely made an impact on the way the rest of this game played out.
Yeah, it sure was a big impact, and that was a bummer to see. He took a hard hit to the head, and his status, I hear, is in doubt for Game 3. It all depends on how it goes, the concussion protocol with him, but it changes some things in this series, for Portland, like, it was huge, like, taking advantage without Wemby and finding a way to win on the road in San Antonio gives them more confidence now that they're going to be able to play at home in front of their home fans, which is even better. And yeah, Spurs are getting banged around like by Portland. Portland's playing physical. They are playing well on defense, especially tonight. They only allowed Spurs to score 103 points, and I mean, even after Wemby went down, they were calling for, Fox and Stephon Castle having to step up as the main scoring options, but even those guys couldn't score a whole lot of points, only 17 for Fox, only 18 for Castle, and shout out to Scoot Henderson for a big 31-point performance. I was impressed by him.
Oh man, Scoot was phenomenal. I was telling my friend Josh at work today, I was like, hey, Scoot Henderson's kind of a bucket. In that first game, he was like, every time he was looking for his mid-range shot and he looked confident, it was going right in. He had a good jumper. The problem is he was turning it over every 3 minutes. Like, he's got the turnover bug in that first game really bad. This time around, oh my goodness, he was absolutely on fire. Denny didn't even shoot a whole lot. He didn't even need to take over. He's still like that's the what was the stats on that you had for his shooting numbers?
Denny
Five,
was
five for 13. It's
13
not like,
in the field.
yeah, that's not terrible efficiency. He just didn't even shoot it as much as Drew Holiday. Like,
well, and he had 5 fouls. Like, Denny did not have an incredible game. I mean, they needed all of the 31 points from Scoot Henderson in this game.
but I will say the X factor that I think it was you talking about, Drew Holiday, was looking real good again, looking like a veteran leader, knowing when to step up, making the shots he needed to so they could start on a run or end a run that the Spurs were going on. He was doing it all. He was even though it didn't look like he had the most phenomenal game, he came up at like clutch times, and veteran leadership is all I can say about that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel really happy for Scoot Henderson that he was able to have this efficient 30-point performance in a playoff game. I mean, this is a guy that, a highly touted player, 3rd overall pick just a few years ago in the same draft as Victor Wembanyama. And, the first few years of his career, the last 2 years have been a bit uneven. And this year, he only played 30 games in the regular season due to injury. And he just got placed in the starting lineup right before the playoffs because of the Shaedon Sharpe injury that he had near the end of the regular season. But the Blazers had been rolling, the last few, weeks of the season. So they've been rolling with Scoot in the starting lineup. And, in a game where your all-star, Denny Avdia, finally comes back down to earth, has a bit of a subpar game because he'd been playing unreal in game 1 of this series and the play-in win against the Suns. You're able to get a performance like this from Scoot Henderson. And that's just very good for the Blazers to have, not just for this game and for this series going forward, but for future years, especially when Damian Lillard comes back to this Portland team, that they just have all these different options that can pick each other up if the one guy isn't having, a superb game.
100%. Even some of the other guys, I know Shaedon Sharpe just came back too. Even having him come back as another ball handler that can kind of create his own shot, he played pretty well today. Tamani Kamara made a couple clutch threes down in the stretch. Robert Williams, when the Spurs went to the small ball lineup, he dominated out there. He looked like the biggest dude on the court, and he
closed the game.
Yeah, like we talked about after the first game, Luke Cornett played really, really well in that first game. This game, he could not do it again. He just couldn't play that many minutes, and the Portland Trailblazers took big advantage of not having Wemby down there.
Yeah, I mean, Luke Cornett, Ben, is someone who, he has had a good, season as the backup, and he did have a strong performance in, this game for the majority of it for the first 3 quarters. But then when those minutes kind of got extended a little bit in the 4th quarter, it started struggling a little bit. And the rest of the Spurs, started struggling as well, offensively, just not getting a whole lot of shots to go. I mean, they shot 7 for 24 from 3 in this game. San Antonio did, including the final look that they got from Devin Vassell in the corner. Ben, what were your thoughts on kind of how both teams ended up closing out this game? I know the big play that we have to talk about, even before the Vassell 3, was the play where Denny had the ball. He's struggling this game, but he's in to close the game, drives down the lane off 1 foot, throws the lob to Robert Williams for the and one dunk. I mean, that was a huge play there. Just what were your thoughts on the final, sequence there in game 2?
I was impressed with how Portland executed. I couldn't believe that Denny lobbed the Robert Williams, that was beautiful. That was quite the play right there. Quite a good momentum play. And Portland, I thought, had a good test on Devin Vassell there when Vassell took that 3-point shot. I was impressed with like Portland's defense a lot down the stretch. Like Portland, had to make a bit of a comeback, I believe, from what I remember in the fourth quarter, and it really all started on the defensive end. Everybody was buying in there, looking great, like what Joey mentioned. Drew Halliday, he was big there. He was that veteran presence that was just getting multiple stops, and you got Tamani Kamara and Matisse Thybulle. I believe Matisse Thybulle was the one with the good contest on Devin Vassell. Like Portland's got a fun group of defensive players on that team, and they were a lot of fun to watch, seeing them get stops and helping them, get back into things in the fourth quarter, and they somehow found a way to win.
Yeah, so a big win for Portland here, and this, like you guys said, could completely, change the direction of this series now that Victor Wembanyama has the concussion. Now, per NBA guidelines, Wemby can't return to full participation in games or in practices for a full 48 hours, but can resume gradual activity in 24 hours as long as his symptoms don't worsen. Then he has to go through the full concussion protocol, where he's got to go through several benchmarks. He has to be symptom-free after each step of the protocol. It's a pretty, complex protocol that he's going to have to go through to make sure, that he's safe enough to play here. Game 3 of this series is not until Friday at 10:30 p.m. in Portland. And then this is the series where it's one of the weird, it's about as close as you can get to a back-to-back in a playoff scenario, where they play at 10:30 on Friday, then 3:30 on Sunday, which is absolutely brutal for this series. So, of course, the biggest questions here are, can Victor Wembanyama return soon enough for San Antonio in this series? And can, now that Wemby is out, do you guys think that Portland can take this series?
I don't know about that one. I think they will definitely put up more of a fight, but this Spurs team has played without Wemby before, and they know kind of how to play without him. But Portland could definitely win another, maybe even 2. But if Wemby comes back for the game 5, even, I would say, even if they're down 3-1, I'd still probably take the Spurs in that series.
Ben, what are your thoughts about this series now with Wemby being out for who knows how long with the concussion?
I still think San Antonio is a good shot in the series because hopefully shouldn't be too long except the concussion, but it's a tough spot they're in, having to go to Portland. Game 3 is not until Friday. That is some time there trying to figure out the whole concussion thing, but still, it may not be enough time because, like we said, it's a complex process, which is tough. My guess is that definitely by game 4, Wemby should be back, but that is it's sort of like a back-to-back, and that's tough, in Portland for the Spurs, and we know the Trailblazers like to play physical, so the Spurs are now in a tougher spot than I expected they could have gotten it against the Blazers before the series, and I think this could be a competitive, series going forward. And Portland somehow pulled off the upset of this. That would be just crazy.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, the history of players going through the concussion protocol. The one glaring one that, comes in my mind and probably all of our minds as Cavs fans was the Kevin Love concussion in the 2016 NBA Finals, where he got the concussion in Game 2, had to miss Game 3, but then return in Game 4 of that series, which ended up being 5 days and Game 4 is in 5 days in the afternoon. So that, that I believe that's like the quickest return I've ever seen, in an NBA Finals, stage there for Kevin Love. And in this one, again, it's the 5 days, but again, it's on the 5th day. You're playing in the afternoon. It's like not the full 5 days. So it's just a tough, you obviously, it's hard to predict this. Wemby has to be okay after every single step in order to return to this. But man, Portland has put themselves in a very good position here, because it's not like they got completely obliterated in Game 1 either. Like, they had their chances in the second half of that game to take the lead and go on forward. And I know for the Spurs, I mean, really for any team, Portland is not a team that you want to play, when you're down your best player, because the Trailblazers, like we've said all season, we've been big fans of the Trailblazers for the last couple of years because of the physical defense that they play with. Now the veteran leadership, players stepping up in their roles, and a team that never quits. Like, this is the second time in 3 big games that they came back from a 14-point deficit in the fourth quarter. They did it in this game. They did it in the Phoenix game in the play-in to advance to this point. And going home to Portland, where they're going to have time in between games to adjust and figure out the best way to attack the paint of the Spurs now with no Wemby, I think they've got a pretty good chance in this series, especially considering San Antonio's flaws as a team were highlighted in this game, and definitely could be things to watch for going forward, with the 16 turnovers that Portland forces and the lack of three-point shooting from De'Aaron Fox and Stephon Castle, who are just going to be given these shots. Like, going into Game 3, Luke Cornett is probably going to start for Wemby in that game. The Blazers do not care about guarding De'Aaron Fox or Stephon Castle on the perimeter. So if Cornett's in the starting lineup, that's 3 non-shooters in the Blazers' eyes in the starting lineup. Like, this is not going to be easy whatsoever for the Spurs to get this done. But definitely a huge storyline, in Portland with a big victory in Game 2.
For sure. I definitely think the Spurs could take one in Portland, even if Wemby, like, I know you said it's a quick turnaround for 5 games. So even if he doesn't come back, like, worst case scenario, I don't think the Spurs will be down 3-1. I think it could be 2-2, because Stephon Castle and De'Aaron Fox can have a really good game. They just got to hope Denny has a bad game again. But that's also playing with fire right there, because he's probably not going to have as bad of a game as he just did.
Yeah, and I mean, the Spurs have an excellent team. I mean, you don't win 62 games in the regular season from just having one player. I mean, they have a phenomenal team. Just Portland defensively, they're just a different beast, man. And you've seen it throughout the postseason. Those guys have been ready for the moment, even though this is their first postseason together as a group. Now, final game here in the Eastern Conference, another upset, as Philadelphia went into Boston and defeated the Celtics 111-97 to even up that series 1 game apiece off of the incredible play from their backcourt. Tyrese Maxey with 29 points. We know what he's been doing all season long. But the rookie, VJ Edgecombe, with the first 30-point, 10-rebound game for a rookie since Tim Duncan. Absolutely phenomenal performance from the Sixers backcourt, Ben, to bounce back and get a huge Game 2 victory after they just got completely annihilated in Game 1.
Yeah, I was really impressed by this performance by the 76ers. I was like, ooh, boy, it was rough in Game 1 for them. I was like, oh, this is going to be hard against the Celtics. Like, I was sort of thinking of a sweep before the series, but hey, they proved me wrong. It won't be a sweep. They won. Good for them. And yeah, Maxey, I loved his aggressiveness. Like, especially late on in the fourth quarter, I was watching the game then, and Maxey really took over in the fourth and had some big baskets, some tough layup finishes to help seal the 76ers the game. I was quite impressed with that. And VJ Edgecombe, 6 3-pointers, 30 points. Loved his aggressiveness. The shot making was impressive. Just another great rookie here that we have this year. Sort of, flew under the radar behind Knipple and Cooper Flag, but hey, he's the best rookie that we got here in the playoffs now, and he really put on a statement game. That was impressive from him. And like for Boston, they were like living or dying by the free in this game, and well, a lot of them didn't fall. They were 13 of 50 for free. Oh boy, that's pretty rough for them, and
Yeah.
they couldn't really get anyone scoring anything outside of like Brown and Tatum too.
Yeah, Joey, on the Celtics side, it feels like the same old story where, like, it doesn't matter what series, doesn't matter what team they're going up against, they're going to have a game where they just completely throw up a stinker from three. And normally it happens in game 2 at home, which is really weird for them. That happens in game 2 at home. Feels like every single year. But it happens again here, 13 for 50 from three. And I thought they really settled down the stretch when they had a chance to come back in this game. I mean, it ended up being a 14-point game, but I think there was a time where they were only down by 2. I think Tatum missed a 3 to give them the lead, but they were right there.
Yeah, they really, like you said, settled. Like, I know living and dying by the 3, but when it comes to crunch time and you're finally within striking distance, try to get the easy basket. Tatum and Brown can be aggressive. They need to be aggressive. They need to take in and try to maybe even draw a foul, get easy free throws. Like, taking just the 3-pointers. Like, Jason Tatum had a good game. He ended up with 36 points. Jaylen Brown didn't even score 20. But, yeah, he was the only other really scorer for them.
Or reversed.
Or it's reversed. Oh, my bad. Sorry. But, yeah, okay, so never mind. 36 points for Brown, Tatum, 19 points. But that's the thing. 2 for 8 from Tatum. I know we talked about his efficiency as well towards the end, like right when he came back, like, yeah, he's playing really well, but his efficiency isn't there. Here's a perfect example of it. But nobody else stepped up really either for them. Like, look at that Derek White stat. What was it? 3 for 12? Oh my goodness, dude.
Hey, I'll gladly go through them. Tatum, 2 for 8 from 3. Derek White, 2 for 10. Hauser, 2 for 8. And a majority of them were wide open threes.
Oh.
Pritchard, 0 for 4. Vucevic, 1 for 4. Like, it was just across the board. Just one of those nights. Just one of those nights for Boston where the threes aren't going down. Is there any concern with them in this series, or is this just, they go cold? The Sixers, on the other hand, shoot 19 for 39 from 3 with Edgecombe and Maxey combining for 11 made threes. Like, is this just one of those games that you chalk up? We just missed a whole lot of threes. We'll be fine going on the road.
You definitely can, but you don't want to against Philly. Not against these two guys in Maxey and Edgecombe. They're just going to ride that confidence. Now that, because Edgecombe's a rookie, he's running on pure emotion. Like, this is his first time in the playoffs. He's just stoked that he just had one of the best rookie playoff games in history. Like, he's going to ride that. And same with some of the other guys for the Sixers. Kelly Oubre finally hits a couple of shots. Not the best, but he still hit a couple of shots towards the end of the game. Paul George scored 19 points. He had a much better game. It seemed like every time the Celtics were about to go on a run, they gave the ball and ran the offense through Paul George. Veteran leadership, him running that offense, even though it was usually Edgecombe or Max. But even some of the other guys, like Andre Drummond, 10 points, 8 rebounds, but 4 for 4, including 1 for 1 from 3. Like, you'll take that out of your bag. Like, if you somehow continue on in this series and have another game like that, if somehow Embiid can return, you'll take that out of your backup. That's incredible.
Yeah, for sure. The one final thing on the Sixers and with VJ Edgecombe, he just, he's had some of these great games this year. And this is another one where, like you said, Ben, you're just so impressed by the way that he plays. The player, like, I know sometimes we talk about like player comparisons on here for young prospect. The guy that VJ Edgecombe reminds me of a little bit is Vince Carter. Like, I think the two they can be pretty similar. Obviously, VJ isn't, as athletic or dunking as much as Vince, but he's a pretty athletic dude, and he is very good at getting to his spot and knocking down tough jump shots. And even the finishing around the basket, I think, is pretty similar as well. But yeah, impressive for the Sixers. Boston, I think, yeah, just one of those games where shots aren't going down. I think they'll be okay on the road, but you don't want to, take for granted the opportunity. The Sixers, Philadelphia is not an easy place to play, by any means. And Boston, in previous years, this type of shooting has lost them series. Like last year against the New York Knicks, people don't really talk about it a whole lot because they point to the Tatum injury first, but they lost the first 2 games of that series at home because they blew leads from shooting like this and, continuously shooting like this. So they've got to find other ways to impact the game, even if shots aren't going down. But the Sixers, very impressive just for the team morale after losing by 32 to the point where we barely even talk about the game on the podcast. So, coming away with the 14-point victory, shutting up the crowd in Boston is, no small feat. So big win for the 76ers to even up the series at 1 game apiece. Heading into tonight, the final 2 game 2s on ESPN of our 2 1-8 matchups. First at 7 p.m., the Orlando Magic looking to steal both games in Detroit against the Pistons, 7 p.m. on ESPN. And then at 9:30, the Oklahoma City Thunder, after blowing out the Suns, will look to take that 2-0 lead at home against Phoenix. This, Joey, we didn't really have you on to talk about the Magic Pistons series in that first game. I mean, just an incredible performance by the Magic. What did you see from the Pistons in that first game that you need to see them try to fix heading into game 2?
Hit their shots. It's kind of a simple thing, but they need to hit their shots. They even traded for Kevin Huerter, and Duncan Robinson they got in the offseason, but you need those guys to hit some of your shots. Cade Cunningham can't be the only guy on offense. They need somebody else. But shout out Orlando. I don't know what Jamal Mosley's bribing them with, but they're playing for him right now because he knows his ass is fired as soon as the series is over.
I'm telling you, man, I know we joked about the point when we were previewing the series on how Orlando, in the Orlando Philly playing game, would one of the teams try to tank that game to then play Detroit in the first round? Dude, that it's kind of looking like that because they look like a completely different team, even from that Charlotte playing game, this first game. They just look, very, very good. Ben, what are you looking to see from the Magic as they try to continue this surge and try to take both games as the 8th seed against the top-seeded Pistons?
Well, I'll be looking to see if Paolo could have another good game like he's had in the last 2 games. Obviously, he's got to keep it rolling, and I hope to see Franz Wagner continuing to be aggressive like he was in the last game, getting to the basket and showing his good toughness. Also, Jalen Suggs, once again, needs to be that disruptor. He needs to get up, disrupt Cade and Jenkins, all the different Pistons players he'll be guarding. And Wendell Carter Jr., I was surprised game 1 how he stepped up and played well. I wonder if game 2 he can do something like that again well, or if Durant will step it up, be even more locked in, and he has more trouble. I think that's a matchup I'll be looking out for in game 2.
Yeah, crazy. I think if the Magic could pull this off again, I mean, I don't know where it would rank in the most unlikely, 2-0 leads that we've seen recently, with just the way that we've been trashing the Magic, which they have deserved, over their play, to end the season here. But if they took both games, I'm trying to think the last time that happened. I want to say the last time it happened was when the Bulls in 2017 took both from Boston in the first round against the Isaiah Thomas Celtics, when Rondo was on the Bulls. Then Rondo goes out, Celtics win the next 4 games. So Pistons, it's obviously not over. They need to take care of business. So in this game, and the 2 people I'm looking at for the Pistons, Jalen Duren needs to provide that secondary scoring. For an all-star player, all-NBA caliber player, you can't be having 8 points as the second best player in a playoff game. And JB Bickerstaff, fix your rotations, please.
Yeah, I agree with that, Miles. I was harping on JB's rotations after their game one when we podcasted.
Oh man,
Yeah.
if they somehow lose this game or lose even this series, JB is never beating the allegations of being a great developmental coach, but as soon as the playoffs hit, his teams crumble.
I pray that they survive this so that doesn't happen, because I do like JB, but man, so far that just didn't look good in game one.
That's the thing. Great coach. If I'm the Sacramento Kings, that's who I would hire. But as soon as you become a playing team, find a new coach, because you get a better seed, but then you're not getting past the second round as a top seed.
Dude, that just has me thinking, like, how funny would it have been if Detroit, like, knowing that, like, took our advice, they get 60 wins in the regular season, get the 1 seed. As soon as the season's over, all right, you guys are out of here. Michael Malone, come on board. For game 2 of the Suns Thunder series, again, there's not really a whole lot to talk about. Obviously, the Thunder, an incredible victory in game 1. Do we, let's see, over, under, Thunder win by 25 in game 2? What do we think?
I'm hammering the over.
For reference, what was it in game 1? It was a 35-point win.
Yeah.
My goodness, that was unbelievable.
I don't think over 30 again, but I'm definitely thinking between that 25 to 30 range. So I'm definitely going to go the over.
Okay, Ben, how about you?
I think the Thunder will handle, their business, but I think it'll be a bit under 25. I think the Suns could do a bit better this time. Like, the Suns, I know they could place a good defense, and I'm thinking, like, the Thunder, like, struggle more with their shooting, which could maybe happen if the Suns place a tough defense, and they could get under 25. It could be more around, like, maybe 15-point victory or something for the Thunder. We'll see, but it's hard for those, like, blowouts to, like, happen, like, often. Like, it's the NBA, like,
yeah,
it's not totally easy still with that, but though I know the Thunder are just such a good team still.
Yeah, I mean, it's always the tough situation, right, for the Suns, where they basically had that, like, what we were talking about with the Spurs-Blazers series. They basically had that with playing the play-in on Friday, then having to go right to OKC, barely having time to prepare for game 1, and, just getting completely annihilated. I think they'll do better than only having they had a 5-0 lead 90 seconds in and then got outscored by 40 the rest of the game. I think that'll be competitive for maybe just brief, like, 5-minute spurts in each quarter, but Thunder will definitely take care of business.
Yeah. I think best case scenario, 10-point game going into the fourth quarter, and then they just kind of take over.
You know what? I'm going with that. It'll be a 10-point game going into the fourth, and the Thunder will win by 22. That's what we got.
There we go.
That's what we got. But that's it. Make sure to stay tuned for the recaps. Who knows? Maybe we'll do the full podcast tomorrow, since all the game 2s will have then been wrapped up as well. But thank you guys so much for watching the recap. If you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe for more NBA playoff content. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Peace.